This week on The Social, a crash course in auto shop. How to get your car road ready, no mechanic required.
Welcome back. The summer will be here before you know it, so some of you may have already started planning a summer vacation.
But sadly, travel scams seem to be popping up all over the place. So here to tell us how to protect ourselves, travel blogger Johnny Jet.
Thanks for being here, Johnny.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
We don't want to ruin our trip by being totally paranoid, but there are things we should be aware of, right?
Sure. I mean, part of the best thing about traveling is meeting new people and experiencing new cultures. But you do have to be careful about meeting some new people, especially in really touristy places. Because, you know, sometimes they're going to take advantage of you. And I've actually been a victim of a bar scam once in Budapest, Hungary. I was with a couple of my friends. We were walking down the street, ran into some girls. And we actually met earlier in the day. And we were talking for like 10 minutes. And they're like, you want to grab a drink? And my friend's like, yeah, let's go. So we walk around. They're like, let's go to this bar. So we go into this bar. We walk upstairs. There's no one in there except really big bouncers and a piano player. And they give us a menu, and the drinks were reasonably priced. We order a round of beers and shots. The bill should have been $40. It came out to be $400.
Oh.
And we're like, this is not the price. And the guy sends us he swaps the menu with a menu with $40 drinks.
Oh my gosh.
And says there's nothing you can do. And so one of my friends had to get escorted to the ATM machine by two big guys.
Oh wow.
And so our mistake was that we didn't do research before. So actually, if you go to the Canadian travel, the government site, and hit travel advisories, or you can go to the U.S. State Department or Australia's or Great Britain's, and they'll tell you all these warnings for different countries. And for Hungary, it says, be careful of the bar scam. And something similar to that happened to me once in Shanghai. Right after that, where my wife and I are walking down the Bund, and these two young college girls said, would you like to go to get traditional tea tasting?
He didn't learn the first time.
No, I did. This time I said, no, thank you.
And is tea tasting a euphemism for something else?
No,
Or literally is just
no.
tea tasting?
They do traditional tea,
Okay.
which they say is $10, but you get the bill, and sometimes it's $500.
Okay.
So you need to be careful.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I think, like, when you go to a foreign country, the whole point is people buy you drinks. This is never, you're traveling in the wrong places, I think.
I guess I need to travel with you.
Now, I have to say, my mother went on a very misleading river cruise in Italy, which was, in hindsight, false advertising targeting seniors. So what other types of scams are out there like that?
There are scams all over the place. But one of the big ones is photo scams, especially if you're in Egypt.
Yes, I've been.
So if you go to the pyramids, there's always a guy with a camel and says you want to go on a camel ride. And then you find out the price, and you're like, I don't want to do that. He's
I
like,
paid that price. Did I already get scammed?
Well, yes. But
You got your picture.
But then they'll say, well, how about you just get on the camel for free and take a picture, you know, with the pyramids behind. It's a great picture.
Right.
So, of course, everyone does it. And they get up on the camel. And if you've ever been on a camel, they're really high.
Yes.
You're like 8 feet off the ground. And then the camel, owner says, okay, but to get down, the camel only comes down for $50. Or $10 or whatever it is, but you do have to pay, or they're going to make your life miserable.
So the lesson here is nothing is for free.
Well, now that's for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
But you should also get a really good guide. Get a guide in advance. They know where your hotel concierge can arrange one and things like
I
that.
feel like that's where sometimes my husband can get into trouble, is that his magic word is cheap. Free? I'll do it.
It's not always.
Okay, got it.
So we're not going to do the camel ride in certain places.
Well, you can do the camel
We can
ride,
do the
just
camel
get a good
ride.
guide.
You have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But we want to get around. So any kind of warnings you have for taxis?
For sure. I mean, taxis are a problem
taxis.
everywhere.
Everywhere. I was going to
including
say
here.
New York City.
New York, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
They're always taking the long route.
Yeah.
These days, you have a smartphone, so you know the directions, you know the traffic. But, like, for example, in Turkey one time, that's known there where, you give the guy a 50 lira, and you're not really paying attention, and they quickly switch it with a 5 lira, because they look very similar.
Okay.
And then you're like, you only give me 5 lira. I'm like, no, it's 50. And they're like, no, it's 5. And you can't really argue with them. So what I do is when I give them a 50 lira, I go, this is a 50 lira.
Yes.
So they know. Or I could even videotape it, which I haven't done yet, but it's not a bad idea to videotape. This is a 50 lira.
Or just hold on to it, right?
Yeah.
Until he gets it. In like 50.
And you also don't want to have big bills. Because if you don't want to, because they're not going to give you change a lot of times. And what I use lately, by the way, is Uber. So you don't even have to deal with it. It's an app. You just
Sure.
sign up, put your credit card in, and just press a button. And
It's already paid for.
But it's in 70 cities. It's not all over the world, so you're not going to find it. But my big taxi tip is, by the way, just don't go to a taxi like in a touristy destination. Instead of getting one right outside the Acropolis or wherever it is, go to a nearby hotel and use the bathroom or whatever, and then walk out. And it looks like you're staying there. Tip the bellman or the valet to get you to arrange a taxi.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what happens if you do get scammed? What kind? If you lose money or you have something stolen, what can you do?
Well, if you get scammed by the taxi driver in Turkey, you're not going to win that bet. It's their word against yours, and the police are probably in on it too. And so, but if you lose your passport, you need to call the police or something valuable. So a lot of people don't realize that 911 doesn't work around the world. There's different emergency numbers, so you can either get an app called Help Call, which is available on iPhone for $2.99, or what I do is I'll Google the emergency number for that country, put the number in my phone, so if I need it,
that's
and then you
smart.
can call directly.
You're right.
But this Malaysia Airlines flight, when it disappeared, I learned that it's a big business for the passports being stolen. Those passports are worth $6,000, and so people sell them. Sometimes there's backpackers who are in Bangkok. They run out of money and they pretend they got their passport stolen, and so they get some extra money and sell it on the black market, which is crazy.
That is.
Yeah.
Like sell a kidney.
But my wife one time lost her passport when we were in Estonia, and she had it in her back pocket. But if she knew back then a passport is worth $6,000 cash, I guarantee you wouldn't lose it. So treat it like that. Protect your passport, because that's one of the most important things.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people are doing their travel planning online and booking online. So what are some of the red flags we want to look for and be aware of when we're shopping online for a trip?
The biggest thing is if the offer seems too good to be true, it usually is. So stay away from those. I don't know about you, but I have some friends on Facebook who are suckers, because about 2 years ago, every other post was a Southwest Airlines, share this, put your info in, and you get 2 free tickets. That's never going to happen. It's a phishing scam with a PH, where they're just trying to take your information and get your credit card and all that stuff. So don't fall for any of that. What I do is when I get an email and it has a link in it, I don't click that link. I'll go directly to the site. So let's say PayPal says I need to update my credit card.
Yeah.
Instead of clicking the link in the email, I'll go to paypal.com, log into my account, and then do whatever.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Johnny Jett. These are fantastic
Exactly.
tips. Thank you so much. And for a recap of all these great travel tips, head over to thesocial.ca right after this show. Back right after this break.